Imagine a city where the water itself feels alive, watching. Narrow canals snake through its heart, their surfaces black and still, reflecting the neon glow of bars and the shadows of those who walk too close. Manchester, England, a place of music, industry, and secrets. Since 2007, these canals have claimed life after life. Young men mostly found floating face down, their final moments swallowed by the dark. Over 80 bodies in less than a decade. Accidents, the police say. Drunken missteps in the night. But the whispers tell a different story. A figure, unseen, pushing victims to their deaths. They call it the Manchester Canal Pusher. Is it an urban legend born from grief? Or does something malevolent stalk these waterways? Tonight, we're diving into the abyss. Welcome to the story that won't let Manchester sleep. But before we dive in, some of the details in this story are extremely disturbing and may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is strongly advised. As always, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. Manchester's canals aren't just waterways, they're scars of its past. In the 18th and 19th centuries, the Rochdale, Ashton, and Bridgewater canals fueled the Industrial Revolution, carrying coal and cotton through a city choking on smoke. Today they're different, and they cut through nightlife districts past bars and clubs pulsing with life. Canal Street, the heart of Manchester's gay quarter, hums with energy every weekend. Laughter, music, and the clink of glasses. But step away from the neon, and the canals turn sinister. Narrow paths, some barely a foot wide, hug the water's edge. Low railings, or none at all, offer little protection. At night, the lighting is patchy, casting long shadows that seem to move when you're not looking. Between 2008 and 2016, 85 bodies were pulled from these waters, according to a 2016 Channel 4 documentary. Most were men, young, often last seen stumbling from a pub. The numbers are staggering. Manchester's population is 2.7 million, less than a third of London's, yet its canals claim more lives than the River Thames, a waterway 6 times as long. The math doesn't add up. A city this size shouldn't drown so many. Alcohol is blamed, of course, if Manchester's drinking culture is relentless, pubs open late, clubs packed until dawn. But 85 deaths? That's not just bad luck. Something about these canals feels wrong. The story started small. A body found in the Rochdale Canal, then another in the Bridgewater. Coroners ruled most as accidents or suicides, but some cases lingered, unexplained, labeled open verdicts. 28 of them, to be exact. No clear cause of death, no witnesses, just men who went out for a night and ended up dead in the water. The canals became a grim backdrop to Manchester's nightlife, a reminder that one wrong step could be your last. And then, the whispers began to grow. In January 2015, the Daily Star Sunday published an article that changed everything. Headlined, "Manchester's Killer Canals." It quoted Professor Craig Jackson, a criminologist from Birmingham City University. He didn't mince words. 61 deaths in 6 years were too many to be accidents or suicides. He suggested a serial killer, someone targeting young men, possibly gay men, given the proximity to Canal Street. The article was like gasoline on a fire. Social media erupted. Twitter users started using the hashtag #ThePusher, and Reddit threads dissected every detail. By 2016, Channel 4's documentary, Manchester's Serial Killer, poured fuel on the speculation, citing 85 deaths and those 28 open verdicts. The narrative was set. Someone was stalking Manchester's canals, preying on the vulnerable, and getting away with it. The details were chilling. Victims were often found with alcohol in their systems, sometimes staggering amounts. Some had drugs, legal or otherwise, but others were sober, or nearly so, raising questions. Why would a sober man fall into a canal? And why always men? The gender disparity was stark. Of the 72 male victims between 2008 and 2014, most were in their 20s or 30s, often last seen alone after a night out. The locations clustered around nightlife hubs: Castlefield, Deansgate, Canal Street. Some bodies were found in locks, others in open water, their clothes sometimes torn or missing, though police attributed this to the current or decomposition. Then there were the stories that fueled the fear. Locals spoke of a man seen lurking near the canals at night, described as tall, hooded, or sometimes just a shadow. Taxi drivers claimed to have heard confessions from passengers, vague boasts about teaching people a lesson. None of these were verified, but they fed the myth. The most disturbing detail came from families. Some victims, like 21-year-old Nathan Tomlinson, had no history of heavy drinking or mental health issues. Nathan vanished after a work party in 2010. His body found days later in the Rochdale Canal. His mother, Tina, rejected the accident ruling, insisting he wasn't drunk enough to fall. She wasn't alone. Families of other victims, like 19-year-old Charlie Pope, found in 2018, echoed her doubts. Their sons didn't just fall. Something, or someone, put them in the water. Let's pause to remember who these people were. Nathan Tomlinson was a teacher, loved by his students, known for his infectious laugh. He was out celebrating with colleagues when he vanished. His body was found a week later, his phone still in his pocket, his wallet untouched. Charlie Pope was a student, just 19, with dreams of becoming a chef. He was last seen leaving a bar in 2018, his body discovered in the Rochdale Canal days later. His father, Nick, described finding out as a punch to the soul. Then there's Suvik Pal, a 22-year-old Indian student who disappeared after a New Year's Eve party in 2012. His body was found in the Bridgewater Canal. His death ruled an accident despite no clear explanation of how he ended up in the water. These weren't isolated cases. The list goes on. David Plunkett, 21, found in 2011 with unexplained bruising on his body. Roger Bainbridge, 25, discovered in 2009 with his shoes missing, though police said they were likely swept away. The details vary, but the pattern is haunting. Young men, often alone, often after drinking, their lives cut short in waters that seem to claim more than their share. Some bodies were found with marks, scratches, bruises, or cuts that coroners attributed to rocks or boat propellers. But in the dark corners of the internet, these marks became evidence of a struggle, a fight for life against an unseen attacker. The most unsettling cases were the open verdicts: 28 men whose deaths couldn't be explained. No drugs, no alcohol in some cases, no history of suicidal thoughts, just a body in the water, and questions that lingered like fog over the canals. Families described a gut-wrenching sense of wrongness. Why were there no witnesses in a city so alive? Why did security cameras, plentiful in Manchester, rarely catch the moment these men fell? The silence around these cases was deafening, and it gave the Pusher myth its teeth. Greater Manchester police have heard the whispers, and they've had enough. In 2016, Detective Chief Inspector Pete Marsh led a review of every canal death since 2008. His team combed through 72 male victims, analyzing coroners' reports, toxicology, and witness statements. Their conclusion was blunt: no serial killer. Alcohol was a factor in a significant number of cases, with some victims having blood alcohol levels high enough to cause unconsciousness. Marsh pointed to Manchester's geography. Canals weave through its nightlife. Paths are narrow. Lighting is poor. A drunk person taking a shortcut or stopping to urinate could easily slip. Men, he noted, are more likely to take risks, especially after drinking. It's not a conspiracy. It's human nature. In 2018, before Channel 4's documentary aired, police released a YouTube video to set the record straight. Detective Chief Superintendent Russ Jackson reiterated that each case was investigated thoroughly. Of the 72 male deaths, 44 had clear causes: accidents, suicides, or natural causes like heart attacks. The 28 open verdicts weren't evidence of murder. They were cases where evidence was inconclusive, often because bodies decomposed in the water, erasing clues. Jackson emphasized safety improvements, new barriers, better lighting, increased patrols. To the police, the Pusher was a ghost story, a product of grief and media hype. But the police's stance has cracks. In 2018, a 34-year-old cyclist was attacked near the Bridgewater Canal. An unknown man knocked him into the water, then kicked him back in when he tried to climb out. The victim survived, describing his attacker as a white male, 20 to 40 years old, with no clear motive. Police called it an isolated incident, but it was a chilling echo of the Pusher myth. If one person could be pushed, why not others? And why were so many cameras, hundreds across Manchester, failing to capture these deaths? The police's assurances felt hollow to those who'd lost loved ones, and the myth grew stronger. Let's step into the darkness. What if the Pusher is real? The arguments for a serial killer are hard to dismiss outright. First, the sheer volume. 85 deaths in 8 years, in a city of Manchester's size, is statistically anomalous. Compare it to Amsterdam, a city with 165 miles of canals, which saw 88 drownings from 2001 to 2015, far fewer per capita. London's Thames, 215 miles long, has fewer drowning deaths annually than Manchester's 36 miles of canals. Something about Manchester's waters is different. The victims' profiles add to the unease. Young men, often fit, often last seen leaving bars or clubs. Many were found in clusters: Castlefield, Deansgate Locks, Canal Street, places where a predator could blend into the crowd. Then there's the 2018 cyclist attack. It wasn't just a push, it was deliberate, cruel. The attacker ensured the victim stayed in the water, as if he wanted him to drown. The survivor's description, male, possibly young, unprovoked, matches the vague profile of the Pusher from local rumors. Could this be the same person responsible for others? Families like Charlie Pope's believe so. Nick Pope told the Manchester Evening News his son was careful, not reckless. Charlie's body showed no signs of a fall, just a sudden plunge into the water. Nathan Tomlinson's mother, Tina, noted her son's body had scratches that didn't match an accidental slip. Decomposition can hide evidence, but it can't erase a mother's instinct. The gay connection adds another layer. Canal Street, a known cruising area, is a hotspot for deaths. Some speculate a killer targets gay men, exploiting the area's late-night anonymity. In the 1980s and 1990s, hate crimes against gay men were rampant in the UK. Could the Pusher be a continuation of that violence, cloaked in the chaos of nightlife? Professor Craig Jackson, who sparked the Pusher theory, claimed relatives of victims contacted him, sharing suspicions of foul play. He drew parallels to the smiley face killer, an alleged American serial killer who drowned young men in the 1990s, leaving smiley faces near bodies. No such symbols have been found in Manchester, but the idea of a methodical killer feels plausible when you stare at the numbers. The most disturbing thought is how easy it would be. A push into a canal is quick, silent. Water erases fingerprints, obscures bruises. A drunk victim might not fight back. A killer could vanish into the night, leaving no trace. With 28 open verdicts, there's room for doubt, room for something sinister. But here's the question that haunts. If there's a serial killer, why no survivors? 85 deaths, one known survivor. The math doesn't add up for a single predator unless they're very, very good. If not a killer, what explains the body count? Alcohol is the obvious answer. Manchester's drinking culture is brutal. Binge drinking is a weekend ritual. Blood alcohol levels in some victims were astronomical, enough to cause blackouts or disorientation. Narrow paths slick with rain or ice make falls likely. Men are more prone to risky behavior, taking shortcuts, ignoring barriers, or grimly urinating into the water while unsteady. A 2016 study by the Royal Life-Saving Society found that 25% of UK drowning victims had alcohol in their systems, and men accounted for 80% of cases. Manchester's canals, running through party districts, are a perfect storm. But alcohol doesn't explain everything. Some victims, like Suvik Pal, had minimal alcohol in their systems. Others had injuries, bruises, cuts, that coroners dismissed as environmental but families found suspicious. Could some deaths be muggings gone wrong? Manchester's homeless population, often living near canals, has been blamed in whispers, though no evidence supports this. Isolated attacks are possible. Drunk men are easy targets for robbers or opportunists. A shove during a scuffle could send someone into the water with no intent to kill. But these are one-offs, not a coordinated campaign. Then there's the psychological angle. Urban legends like the Pusher often arise to explain chaos. Manchester's canals are a liminal space, half urban, half wild, where the city's pulse meets its underbelly. When young men die senselessly, accident feels too small. A killer gives meaning to the loss, a villain to blame. Reddit threads and Twitter posts amplify this, turning grief into a narrative. But this obsession can obscure real issues, like the lack of safety barriers or poor lighting. In 2018, Charlie Pope's father started a petition for better canal safety, gaining 35,000 signatures. It's a practical response to a tragedy the Pusher myth overshadows. The Pusher isn't just a Manchester story, it's a phenomenon. Filmmakers have seized on it. Gary Johnston's documentary The Pusher on Prime Video explores the mystery, with Johnston walking the canals at night, wearing a stab vest, searching for answers. He found no killer but felt the weight of the city's fear. Anthony Mulligan, aka Daft Monkey, made his own film, interviewing locals who swore they'd seen a strange figure by the water. Social media keeps the story alive. Reddit threads like r Unsolved Mysteries dissect every case, while YouTube videos rack up millions of views. The hashtag The Pusher still trends when a new body is found. But this fascination has a cost. Families like Nathan's and Charlie's feel their loved ones are reduced to plot points in a true crime saga. The myth can drown out their grief, turning personal tragedy into public spectacle. Yet it persists, spreading to other cities. Bristol and Durham have their own Pusher rumors, with similar patterns of canal deaths. It's as if the Pusher is a modern boogeyman, a shadow we conjure to explain what we can't face. That life can end so suddenly, so pointlessly in the water's embrace. The most disturbing detail isn't the bodies or the theories. It's the silence. No screams, no witnesses, no clear footage in a city blanketed with cameras. Just men who walk into the night and never come back. The canals hold their secrets, and maybe that's what keeps us hooked. The idea that something could be out there, watching, waiting for the next one to stumble too close. So what's the truth? The police have a point. No DNA, no consistent witnesses, no smoking gun. Alcohol, bad decisions, and bad luck explain most of the deaths. Manchester's canals are a death trap by design. Narrow, dark, unforgiving. But the numbers gnaw at you. 85 lives lost in a small city's waterways. 28 open verdicts, each a question mark that won't fade. The 2018 cyclist attack proves someone is capable of pushing a stranger into the water with malice. Could a few deaths be murders, hidden among the accidents? It's possible. A single serial killer claiming 80 lives, though, feels like a stretch. A story too neat for the messy reality. Maybe the Pusher is something else, not a person, but a feeling. The dread of walking alone by water, knowing one slip could end it all. The fear that a city so alive could hide something so dark. Or maybe it's our need to find meaning in chaos, to give a name to the unexplainable. The Manchester Canal Pusher lives in that space, between fact and fear, between the known and the unknown. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there, especially near the water.